What's going on, guys? Untitled Gaming here with another video. This is the second video I'll be uploading today. And since we were on the topic of Monster Hunter in the last video, at least for a little bit, I decided that in this one, we would go over my story of how I got introduced to Monster Hunter. Now, there's not going to be any gameplay in the background or anything like that, just me talking. And I actually have my collection of my Monster Hunter games right here next to me. But, I unfortunately could not find one of them. I have the actual game itself in my 3DS still, but I cannot find the case. So that just means I'm going to have to show off the other ones that I've gotten to play. And we are going to start with my first ever experience into the world of Monster Hunter Tri. Now, it's a funny story how I actually got into this game in the first place. Because the whole point of what happened was, I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. It was back in 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And my parents and I went to GameStop one day because we wanted to see if they had any cool games on sale. And I saw Call of Duty Black Ops 2 because at the time I thought Call of Duty was really cool, even though I wasn't really old enough for it, looking back on it. And I'm really glad I ended up not getting Call of Duty, because when I grabbed Black Ops 2, my mom said, "No, son, you can't get this game. It's rated M. You're too young for this." And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll pick something else. And wouldn't you know it, this game was behind Black Ops 2 on the shelf. I don't know why it was there, but I am so glad it was, because thanks to me not being able to get Black Ops 2, I was introduced to the world of Monster Hunter. And this is probably the best, and at least my personal favorite game I have ever played in my life. The series is fantastic. I love the gameplay loop. I love pretty much everything about it. Even though Monster Hunter is not a story-driven game, that never bothered me because I was so invested in the world. Like, my first experience hunting a large monster in the game was absolutely incredible. I was so young at the time. For the life of me, I could not beat Great Jaggy of all monsters. Yes, you heard that right. Great Jaggy was my first wall because I had never played a Monster Hunter game before. So, and I also made the silly mistake of every time I wanted to equip a new weapon, I thought I had to create a new save file because I had no idea how the game worked. So anytime I wanted to make a new weapon, I would make a new character, not realizing it would make me start the game all over again. After about my 5th character, I had picked the Greatsword as my personal favorite weapon because it was a giant sword and I've always loved swords. So what happened was, I finally went in and I started fighting this Great Jaggy, right? Because it was this big, tough monster. I had a big sword. I thought I was all that. Went in, and after about 15 minutes, I finally managed to kill it. I didn't even faint once, which, looking back on it, it's really not that impressive. But you know what? That was an amazing experience for me. It just took a lot of learning. The learning curve was massive, and that is how I got introduced into Monster Hunter, through Monster Hunter Tri. Years later, I got my 3DS, and of course, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out. And that is when I got introduced to G rank, which is the higher difficulty of the game. It was an awesome experience. I had to solo the whole game myself because, the 3DS version of the game didn't have online at the time. And just last year, I actually got a Wii U for a really cheap price. And I got to play the game online, and it was absolutely incredible. And while 3 Ultimate may not be the best game mechanically, it is still one of my personal favorites. Moving on, I would talk about Monster Hunter 4, but unfortunately I can't find the case. But Monster Hunter 4 was my first online hunting experience, and it is something I will never forget. Thank you to everyone that actually hunted with me back in those days. That was the only Monster Hunter game I've played where I actually reached rank 999, and I am very proud of that achievement. Next up, we have Monster Hunter Generations. Now, this game was special to me because I actually played with a lot of live streamers on this game back when the original came out and when the G rank version was not a thing. It was awesome. I loved the introduction of the Hunter art system. I absolutely loved how the Hyper Monster system worked. Not as good as the Apex system in Monster Hunter 4, but it was still really cool. And moving on, we have Generations Ultimate from 2018, which is the G rank version of Generations. Now, this game was something really special to me because of all the special deviant monsters. And it stuck with me pretty well, but unfortunately, not very many of my friends had a Switch, so I didn't get to play it as much as I'd like to. But I hope to change that someday. When I have a bit of a bigger following, I would love to play the game with you guys. And now we move on to Monster Hunter World, which is definitely one of the best games I've ever played in my life. All these other Monster Hunter games were absolutely fantastic. I love them to death, and I would gladly play through them all again if I had the opportunity. But Monster Hunter World just spoke to me on a different level. This game was incredible, and I just could not get over the outstanding graphics and the huge evolution of Monster Hunter that they had done. Capcom really outdid themselves with this game, and I am so glad that I could have been a part of the community that started it and just enjoy the game for as long as I did. And some of you, if you watched my previous video, you'll know I've actually played through this game 3 times now. 1, because I lost my original file. 2, because I played through it again to recover all of that. And 3, because I have a PS5 and I absolutely freaking love the game enough to play it again. Now, that all has been covered, I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. And if you guys are Monster Hunter fans too, make sure you comment down below and tell me what your favorite Monster Hunter game was. Because personally, I can't pin down which one's my favorite because I love them all for different reasons. So, now that you heard my Monster Hunter story, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.